I want this one, yeah. Okay. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. It's 7 o'clock sharp. We rocking out. You know what I'm saying? Let me get ready to do my thing over here. Put these headphones on. And, you know, we gonna step into our greatness and we going to put our theme music on, right? We going to put our theme music on. Here we go, baby. Let's go. Uh-huh. Yes. Rock out with me. Yes, sir. 52 Tuesday, just step into your greatness. We wake up, minds for the taking. Listen up, you ain't gotta settle. You can reach your goals if you spread your wings and fly. Yes. This is the time. This is the season. We stepping in our greatness. Can't nothing stop us. Once the train is on the move, the train is on the move. You know what I'm saying? You either get in tune or you get out the way. This is how we rocking. Yes. Come on. Yes, sir. Yo, Santino, if you out there, send me that request. Let's go, my people. 52 Tuesdays, you rocking out with your boy J Vega 360. Come on now. We put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in this, man. You know what I'm saying? 52 Tuesdays, just step into your greatness. Listen, we don't play around over here. We don't let our minds entertain fear. Them days is done. It starts from the minute we wake up. For the taking. Listen up, listen up. You ain't gotta settle. You can reach your goals when you. Yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. Yes, sir. What's good, my people? Thank you for joining us tonight for another episode of 52 Tuesdays with your host, your boy, J Vega 360. And listen, man, tonight, guys, I have a very, very special guest for you. You know what I'm saying? I got my man Santino coming on, right? Santino, the only option from the now infamous Success is Collective, right? So I'm going to give you Santino's bio. I'm going to read his bio real quick, right? It says Santino is a professional stock and options trader. Due to his passion to teach others this skill, he is now the CEO. I'm going to say that again, right? He is now the CEO of Wise Money Academy, a financial education service. As a lead instructor and motivational speaker, he has hosted several seminars, lectures, and workshops. Santino's purpose is to close the gap between the economic classes, one mind at a time. He believes that a lack of financial knowledge is the main problem we face amongst low-income areas and households, and the only solution is specialized financial education. It says, after being convicted of a drug conspiracy and sentenced to 20 years in federal prison. Man, I'm going to say that again. Like I told you, the dudes that I'm bringing on, man, they real ones, man. These dudes are certified. They got history. They got backgrounds. They turned their life around, right? It said, after being convicted of a drug conspiracy and sentenced to 20 years in federal prison, he began his inner search for personal reform. Being in an atmosphere where some of the more sophisticated violators of the law resided, Santino became a sponge for information. He gravitated towards the Wall Street gurus, the economists, and the individuals who were well acclimated with the world of finance and investments. And he began his quest to learn all that he can about the subject. Ironically, even though he was serving a 20-year sentence, he was making preparations. Ooh, you hear that? even though in spite of his situation and his circumstances, he was making preparations for his return to society. Santino had committed himself to completing two major tasks. The first was to work relentlessly on his appeal so that way he can reverse his conviction and go home. The second was to learn all he can about finance, but more importantly, learn about the criminal mentality. This is deep. To learn more about the criminal mentality that led him there to begin with. Although he knew that only 2% of federal appeals are heard, or even smaller number of convictions are actually overturned or reversed, he did not allow himself to be discouraged by those statistics. With only a crack like the size of a window opportunity, he was determined to find a way through it. And that he did after serving 5 of the 20 years he was sentenced to do. Santino won his appeal and was released on October 3rd, 2018, on the birthday of his only child. Man, that's amazing. This is beautiful. While inside, he pondered on the injustice and the disparities within the criminal justice system. This jump-started his desire to help make change. Because of this, he is now a model for criminal reform, providing others with the tools to avoid the same things that his decisions led him to. Wealth is a mind state. This is the token phrase, as he believes that wealth should be a positive impact for others. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to bring to you all, I'm going to bring them all, man. I'm going to bring on my man, Santino, the only option. Welcome. Give him a round of applause, everybody. Give him a round of applause. So, you know, here's a little backdrop on how I met Santino. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I did the interview with my man, Jamil. Jamil was the first 52 Tuesdays that we did. It was the first one that we did. And, you know, automatically he introduced me to Santino. And I had seen Santino in some previous videos. And I told Jamil, I said, oh, you surrounded by a real one. You know what I'm saying? I could tell by his body language. I could tell by the way that he was moving. You know, I heard him speak and I said, yo, this is a real serious dude right here. And, you know, I just gravitated to him. And, you know, after my first encounter with the collective, man, it's like, I feel like an adopted child, man. Like they just brought me in. They connected me to resources. So a lot of the things that you see developing and happening inside of my movement is as a result, a direct result of my affiliation with these brothers, man. They have helped me out tremendously. And that's a part of their focus and their mission statement and the vision of what they want to do with our people. So ladies and gentlemen, that's a little backdrop. Now I'm going to give the floor to Santino. Santino, feel free, you know, to holler at the people, speak to the people, man, and let them know what it is, my brother. Okay. Hold up, I got a problem here. I'm not getting any sound. So let's do this. You there? Let me see if I can hear you. Oh, man, why do I have to go through this, man? I should at least have sound on the Instagram. Come on, man. Hold up, I should at least have sound on the Instagram. This is like...
How about now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yes, sir. Man. I can hear you now.
Okay.
There we go. What was your mic on mute or something? Or
yeah, I had to plug it up. You can still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you good now.
All right, I got that Yeti, man.
Yeah, listen, man, I was ready to kick myself in the back, man. I'm like, yo, man, I ain't messing this one up.
It was all me, man.
Hey, listen, it's all good, baby, but this is what it is.
Yeah, so let me start that grand entrance over, man. I started by saying thank you to you, because you know, not only for being the man that you are, but also for starting 52 Tuesdays, because it's a dope podcast. You know, everything that it represents, man, is just dope. It's me. You know, it represents culture. It represents street. It represents something real. It represents elevation. It represents transformation. And that's what we're here for, man. I appreciate you having me on, Jay.
Yeah, nah, man, it's all love, man. Like I said, you guys have been such a tremendous blessing to my life and to my business and, you know, my ministry and the things that God has called me to and the things that he has called me to do. So, you know, one of the things I'm always big on, you know, I'm big on paying respect, man, and honoring those that have been a blessing. And, you know, once I locked in, man, and I heard your story, man, you know, it was really compelling because, you know, we know what our audience is. We know who we talking to, you know, and we're here to bring hope and we're here to bring inspiration to tell you that, you know, your current situation or circumstance doesn't have to be your final step destination. Like you're locked in with dudes that have, you know, that have been through the mud, dudes that have been down before, dudes that had to go through it, and they had to experience that change and transformation for themselves in order to produce something positive, not only for themselves, but for their families, not only for their families, but for their communities, you know? So this is just like a tremendous honor, man. You know, also, like I say, man, seeing, you know, the Successes Collective movement, you know, to see brothers link up together, strong brothers, you know, highly educated. You see the unity, you see the love, you know, you see the commitment to the mission and the vision. And, you know, I just feel like it's stories like yours that we need to bring to the world, you know, that people really need to hear about and focus on, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's important, you know, everyone has a story and your story is important because it shapes you, you know, it makes you who you are, you know, and everybody have the choice to determine what's going to be on those pages in that book. Right.
Ooh.
And sometimes we don't know that. So we spend half of our life dwindling through life like a tornado, not knowing that we really have a choice on how things turn out. You know, many of us have been trapped into believing that, you know, we had no option. That's why I came up with the name The Only Option, you know, because there's always another option. There's always another way, right? But we trap ourselves and corner ourselves off. And then this is when we find ourselves in undesirable positions in life. So what you said is totally correct, man. Our story is very important. You know, some of us don't pay attention to the story that we've created so far, the story we've accumulated. It tells you a story about where you're going, right? You have an idea what the next chapter going to be about. If you just pay attention to the previous chapters that you already laid down, you know. Yeah, but Jay, this is a grand opportunity, and you know, we all about people, man, connecting with good people and connecting with people that's moving, you know, forcefully and making things happen, man. So again, I just appreciate being on here.
Yeah, and that's one of the things, like I always try to tell people, man, that our decisions shape our destiny. Like we're literally in the driver's seat in terms of the direction that we want our life to proceed in. You know what I mean? It literally starts by making conscious decisions that align with your purpose. So, you know, I did the book Step Into Your Greatness, and that's what it's all about. It's about discovering, you know, what is your greatness. Your greatness may be different from mine. You don't have to do what George does, and I don't have to do what Santino does, and Santino don't have to do what Jamil does. That's the beauty of it. Like, you know, we're all great in our own individual way, in our own individual right. So, you know, a lot of times, you know, we have to approach this thing called life from a cognitive perspective. You know what I mean? First, we go to the spiritual perspective to make sure that we're properly aligned with our creator. You know what I mean? And, you know, our purpose is aligned with the purpose that the creator has for us, God has for us, you know, whatever it may be for you. But once you get in alignment for that, then, you know, that should influence your decisions and put you in a position and put you on a path to ultimately fulfill whatever your purpose is here on earth. You know, and a lot of times we go through negative situations and circumstances, not understanding why as we're going through it. But once we get through it and we get on the other end of it, we realize that, you know what, maybe it wasn't for me, it was for somebody else.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, so, you know what, Jay? The great Les Brown said, wherever you are in life, desirable or undesirable, you made reservations to be there.
Wow.
Unconsciously, you made reservations to be there. Yeah.
That's powerful. That's powerful.
And that really just speaks to accountability, right? So that really just, you know, really cuts off any opportunity of us blaming others for the position that we're in, right? Which ultimately will keep us, you know, knee deep in that position, right?
Yes, sir.
So, you know, when you fix that concept in your mind that you made reservations to be where you are, undesirable or desirable position. Now you know the power's in your hands. So now you start making decisions a little bit different.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, now you become a professional decision maker, which is
Exactly.
which is my motto is the first thing you got to be is a professional decision maker.
And that's where everything starts.
Yeah, you decided to do this podcast and it came to life. I decided to learn options, stocks, economics, futures, and it came to life. So that's how it goes, man.
Yeah, yeah. And that's like one of the things I always say, man, is like, like me, I'm a Bible guy. The Bible says take the vision, write it down, and make it plain. So there's simple steps that allow us to be able to create the life that we want to live. Like if you have, I don't know what this echo is, man. Let me see if I can turn this down.
It could be because we got the IG running at the same time.
Yeah. So I just turned everything down on my end. But
Okay.
it's like, when you have that vision, man, it's like to see it, to pray about it, to write it down, and then begin to act upon it. You know what I mean? Taking those particular steps in order to get to where it is that we desire to be in life,
Yeah.
So, that's one of the things. But I want to make this about you, man, because you have an amazing story that I really feel that the world needs to hear. So, we started out talking about, a 20-year bid, you know what I mean? Being sentenced to 20 years in federal prison for a conspiracy charge.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, how did that experience of being sentenced to that shape your mindset for personal reform and overcoming adversity?
Man, first of all, we got to talk about when you initially find yourself in that position, right? Is the sound okay now, Jay?
Yeah, I guess they said it was on your end.
Yeah, I think because I had the Instagram on with the with the stream.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I mean, the thing is, it's finding yourself in that position in the first place. Finding yourself in a position that you've been working up, you've been building up towards all your life or half your life, obviously at that point, right? And then you finally find yourself in this position that you never thought you would be in, even though you're doing everything to be in that position.
Mm-hmm.
See, this is what's sick about us when we're in the streets, right? We find ourselves in that undesirable situation, and it's like, how did I get here? But we know how we got there, right? We've been building, we've been throwing stones at that place for the longest, and now we end up in there, and it's like, the first thing was to get over the overwhelming thought of when I first appeared in court and they told me I was facing a life sentence. And now I'm in Pittsburgh at the time in Pennsylvania, and I'm also facing 20 years in New Jersey. So I got two things going on at the same time in two different states. One is on a state judicial level and the other is on a federal judicial level. Two different animals, right? Of the same kind, of the same sort. And finding myself in that position after already acquiring a case in New Jersey was crazy in itself. That was crazy in itself. That was like, how did I get here?
Hold up. Can I interrupt you for 1 minute? Just turn down the volume on your Instagram on the.
Yep, that's what I'm doing now.
Turn that all the way down.
Yep, turn it down. How we sound now?
Everybody, we sound good? We sound good? Yeah, I'm still trying to get this Instagram to link up. If anything, I won't do it on Instagram no more. We just go YouTube and Facebook. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's it.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not a technical dude, man. So it's like, if I can't do Instagram, oh well, Instagram, bye-bye. We go YouTube and Facebook. You know what I'm saying? But we're going to get it done.
That's right. So who can't hear us? The Instagram people or the stream people or the
You're
YouTube
saying the
people?
Instagram people.
Oh, okay. Well, they probably can't hear me talking because I turned everything down.
Yeah, no, they should be able to pick up. It just won't pick up the sound like the echo from the two different. Now it's perfect. We're good.
Got you.
All right. Let's go. Let's get into this, baby.
Let's go.
What I'm talking about. Give them the business, Sam.
So now, it's just really finding yourself in that situation for the first time, even though you've been building up and creating momentum to be in that position. You never thought you would be in that position. At the time, I had a promising rap career, and, I convinced myself that, I needed to be doing both in order to make one happen, right? So I'm just up there with all the wrong logic, and just moving throughout life and just allowing life to blow me in whatever direction the wind would take me in. And sometimes when we're moving like that out of control and we find ourselves in that position, there's this overwhelming feeling. And the first thing we say is why. First thing we said is why. So when I find myself in this foreign place, I'm not home. I don't know anybody. I'm in the federal custody, which is something I never thought I would be in. You know, most people will probably think everything we do, the feds will come get you. Nah, you know, where I come from, we don't have to worry about that. I went somewhere else, poking at the bear. You know? And the bear woke up and scratched me. You know.
Wow.
And so when they first initially grabbed me, I'm up there in Pittsburgh, and the first thought is like, why me? Why is this happening to me? You start recounting all good things you did for people and everything. You forget about all the bad you did, though.
Yeah.
And we create these situations for ourselves. We slowly build these houses for ourselves, right? And make these beds, and we gotta lay in it. So after about a month of saying why and trying to figure out why am I in this situation, I finally said to myself, is the why gonna get you out? Is finding out right now why you're here, why the creator put you in this situation, is that gonna get you out of this situation? Or should you start at least attempting to figure out what's going on, right? Because this is all we know. You got to think, Jay, I'm a 9th grade dropout, no college education, got kicked out of every school I ever went to. I don't like school, and I'm in here, and I don't know anything about federal law. But I know that they told me it's a chance that I could get life. So the first thing I thought about is, okay, then I need to learn something about federal law then. But I don't have a clue. Like, just picture that. You know, people come to me to learn my craft, and I feel them when they come to me and they feel like they just don't have a clue. I don't have a clue. I don't know who to ask. You could barely talk to people. People are scared that you might tell on them or use their case against them. So it's really like I'm in here, I'm alone. And they telling me life, and I got one child at home. You know, and it was a very real situation. So let's talk about that first. The why, the feeling.
So, and like I say, I know what that is, man. I wasn't facing life, but even 6 to 12, you know what I mean? Like on my second drug charge, you know, it's like, and you just got, because my thing is this: you set me up for 6 years, I might as well prepare for life. You know what I'm saying? Because I ain't gonna be nobody's victim. You know what I mean?
Think about how many opportunities pass you by in 6 years, right? Because opportunity is like the dirt; it's everywhere. So imagine when you're sitting in there, even though opportunity is everywhere, right? Because we'll talk about some opportunities that came out of my crisis later, right?
Yes, sir.
At the end of the day, it came out of yours too. And at that point, that moment where we face that why moment, that overwhelming moment, we don't think about these things. Like, that's the breaking point. It's either that's the point right there where you're made, where you know who you are. They say you don't know who you are until you're standing in the middle of a crisis, a life or death situation. And if you're going to put me in jail forever, some people feel like you might as well take my life. But you just did. That's why they call it a life sentence. They took the life you knew and gave you a new one. Now, how strong are you mentally to adjust? Because I met brothers with 40 and 60 years, brothers who got 30 years in and not ever coming home that still smile every day. So now it's about your mentality, your mindset. So I became familiar with who I was from a mindset standpoint. Because there was a point where the U.S. Attorney General has sent word to my attorney and said, you know, if Santino does X, Y, and Z, we'll do X, Y, and Z. And at that moment, I just, you know, I went through a lot of different emotions at that moment, because it was like I already had that conversation with myself, and anybody that say they didn't is a liar. Stand up guy or not, whatever that means, right? That's some street stuff. Like, whatever that means, right? Every stand-up guy I know, if they ever been in a situation where they're in that courtroom and it's a bunch of people and you can't even tell whose position is what because there's so many people and there's big microphones, and they're telling you you're facing life, they're reading off your indictment, I could guarantee you the thought crossed your mind at least one time. So when it crossed my mind at that moment, I realized who I was. I realized that I was a person that probably would always find myself in situations where I got to pull myself up out of, and I have to be accountable for them first, right? So when he told me that, relayed that information, I felt like they were trying to bully me. Like I felt like they had something hanging over my head. So I used that as my muse, as my strength to fight back.
Powerful.
Because I didn't have no other choice. That was my only option. Like I couldn't bring myself to taking the easy way out, which is to pretty much not be accountable and make others to blame for a decision that I made. To me, like for me, that doesn't sit right with me. So I couldn't take that route. It wasn't even an option. I had the thought, got rid of it immediately. I took the latter path, right? And this is where it led me. It led me to understanding that there was no situation that I came about at that time. Nothing that you could throw in my path at that time that was going to stop me from getting home to my little girl.
Amen.
Nothing.
Amen.
Didn't have a clue. Didn't know where to start. You know, like I said, 9th grade education. You know, that doesn't mean that I'm not intelligent, but that just means I'm not resourceful in that field. I can adapt to anything. I knew that. And that's what I hung on to. I hung on to the fact that there was really never nothing that I tried to learn that I couldn't learn, even though this system was so foreign to me. So as I started to find out things, as I took my shot at trying to find anything, I started to find something. Now, in the federal system, I don't know if people know, but it really makes no sense if you got a drug charge to have an attorney that you pay $100,000 for. You get these guys saying, yo, I paid $300. Yo, my lawyer flew in from Cali all the way to Jersey. That sounds slick. But for people that understands federal law from the inside, because I fought it, right? And I learned it at least enough to be able to defend myself, right? I will tell you this. That's the most foolish thing in the world. If you have a drug charge and you're in the federal system and they have mandatory minimum sentencing, meaning that the only person that could go under that mandatory minimum sentence for that amount of drugs that you were caught with is the prosecutor. And the only way he's going to do that is if you tell. The judge has no power in that situation. So in my situation, my minimum was 20. My minimum was 20 and my max was life. So now the judge, even if she wanted to, who told me that at sentencing, Mr. Drew, even if I wanted to come under this 20, you have a beautiful family, I couldn't.
There's nothing I could do to help you.
Nothing I could do. So now, if you getting these attorneys, you got to know that the attorney playing the same game you was playing. And as much as you want to call him greasy, think about the game you played. And this is how deep my accountability go, bro. This is where my mind is. And this is what gave me strength to fight back. People thinking, oh, yo, you became a brainiac, you became a genius. What do you do? Like, no, I was optimistic. For one. And for two, when they told me that statistically it was virtually impossible for me to beat the feds, that's a challenge I wanted. Because if that was the challenge that was standing in between me and my little girl, then that's the challenge I want.
I hear you, bro.
And I took that challenge on, and then me taking that challenge on and not being mad at the prosecutor for what he tried or for sitting in there, the federal police, the judge. I don't care how they're laughing. I don't care how they're talking to me. I don't care if they don't like me. The fact of the matter is I never had to meet them. I was throwing those bricks, building that momentum, making that decision to go to Pittsburgh with a kilo of heroin and get caught by the federal police who now is in here trying to give me a life sentence.
Wow.
I am the star of that movie. I play the leading role, right? So now I go into this with this mentality, accountability. So I convince myself that the only person that can help me is me. And by doing that and staying optimistic at the same time, again, you know, the power of positive thought, right? Laws of attraction. People think it's some magic power. It's not a magic power. What it is you are psychologically convincing yourself that a thing is going to happen. What controls our body? What controls our actions, Jay?
Our thoughts. Yep.
So no matter what I heard, my biggest fight, my biggest challenge, Jay, was waking up every day in a room with another person, somewhere I don't want to be, in a circumstance that I wish I could change, and staying optimistic. Not allowing not one hint of doubt to creep into my mind. I convinced myself that what does it hurt me to believe that I'm going home? Why are we so scared of disappointment? What does it cost you, Jay,
Yo.
to play a lottery ticket right now and believe wholeheartedly that you're going to hit it?
Yo, let me tell you something. Listen, I tell people this, man. I've been told no my whole life. I've been let down my whole life. I failed before. So there's no fear. Like, doubt doesn't creep in because, you know, I believe that I was created to do the impossible because I've already done it. It's like I tell my peoples, I said, yo, the mindset that you have when your back is up against the wall and you got to make something happen that didn't seem possible, but somehow, you know, you connect your mind to the resources that are around you and you're able to pay that bill. You're able to put that food on the table. You're able to do whatever it is that your mind told you wasn't possible at that moment. You was able to defeat yourself and make that thing happen through the power of a thought and having that determination. But like you said, you can't doubt because it says, you know, a double-minded man is unstable in all of his ways. How is it that he should think that he should receive anything from God? So we have to be single-minded in our approach as it comes to anything. You know what I'm saying? Not only adversity, but when it comes to our goals, our hopes, our dreams, you know, whatever obstacles, things that we have, because when we have a single focus, you know, we're laser-like, you know what I mean? We move with precision and we're powerful because we're dialed in on a specific goal and we don't let nothing stand in the way of stopping us to getting to that. Like you said, was you going to let a 20-year bid stop you from getting to your daughter?
Absolutely not.
You know, so that right there in itself is powerful.
It was 20 when it was all said and done. 22
Yeah.
It was 22 years. I was set to really come home 2034. So I came home in 2018. So we would have never met. None of this would be possible right now from my end, from my standpoint. So, you know, I believe that the Creator puts us in positions for reasons, right?
Mm-hmm.
He puts us in a position for reasons. So at the end of the day, he also give us all the faculties and the resources we need to fight up out of situations that we find ourselves in. Some of us do more praying than acting. And that's the problem.
Yes, sir.
That really shows that you're a spoiled kid, a spoiled child of God, because you're a kid that just want to ask for things, but you don't want to put no work in. You want to cry when it hurt and you want to pray, but then the next day you want to get up and expect a miracle, and you don't want to have that miracle coming to you. You have no accountability. Accountability was my greatest power. It was a formula. It's funny that you just said what you said. The formula was desperation, right? Determination and optimism. 3 equal triumph.
Take notes.
And here's the thing, right? So it was very long, drawn out process with the federal government going back and forth to New Jersey. The first time I ever been on a plane, although, you know, I had been doing this and doing that in the streets and thought I was this and that. First time I've been on a plane was with the federal government, the most raggedy plane you ever seen in your life. You know, and you start to think about things like that. You pondering on that while you shackled and you're thousands of feet in the air, thousands of feet, because you're flying from PA to Oklahoma. So the plane got to get real high to get there, you know. And Oklahoma, your feet don't even touch the ground. Like they got a thing where the thing just takes you don't even know where you're at. And when you get in there, it look like a Total Recall or something in there. like very clean, very hollow, very cold. And, you know, yeah, you know, and this the situations you find yourself in, and everywhere every situation I found myself in. You talk about small things, Jay, like while you're waiting for the plane, it's cold as hell outside, but yet you have no jacket, and they have you standing outside the plane literally for 40, 50 minutes with no jacket, just the cardboard thing they gave you. These are the things you go through. So you ponder on these things and you start to weigh this against your value, right? Because we were talking earlier, Jay, and we was like, yo, there's no way in the world we valued ourselves if we standing on the corner with a gun and crack on us, right?
Come on.
Is like, how can you say that you actually have a high level of esteem or you value yourself if you putting yourself in harm's way for $1 to bring yourself some attention? You see what I'm saying? So these are all the things you ponder on. But in terms of the fight, it was so arduous because, you know, it's a lot of moving parts. It was a 36-man indictment. So, you know, a lot of different paperwork, a lot of things that I learned that I forgot, that I'm glad I forgot, because I don't ever want to have to use that part of me again. You know, unless I have to help somebody else, you know. But it was a long fight, man. And understanding the federal law helped me understand how corrupt the system is. And it's cool because, right, I didn't look too deep into that either, because I had to keep the focus on how corrupt I was, right? Because if I put it too much on them, again, now it ain't my fault. Now what I'm doing is okay. So it's okay to be repetitive, right? It's okay to come home and come back, because it ain't my fault. The system did it. So I was talking, you know, in reference to the tediousness of being able to beat them because the cards are stacked in their favor. One, federal prosecutors have total immunity, which means that, Jay, if they catch a prosecutor planting drugs in your car on camera, he still won't go to jail because he gets hired. He has total immunity from prosecution.
Wow.
The judges serve lifetime bench sentences in the federal judicial system. So that means sometimes we have judges that came from an era that just seen things differently.
Yeah.
Somebody walk in with our skin color, automatically we're at a loss. At least that's how we think, right? We don't know if that's true, but at least that's how it go, right? If you got a judge 75 years old still serving, he was around doing this thing at a time where things really weren't fair at all. So now you're in here with these laws that you can't get around. Even if you prove that the federal government is lying, you have to have a hearing. And after you prove that they lied in your search warrant affidavit, now they have to take the lies out and still read the search warrant to see if it still has a burden of proof to be able to get a search warrant. So the lie ain't enough. They say, okay, all right, they lied. We'll remove that lie, right? And let's see if we still, so that wasn't enough. So they're trying to design it where you cannot win. And most people don't win because when you get in the federal system, they offer you so much time that the first thing you want to do is either tell or take the plea. I couldn't believe it, Jay. Like you said, you had 6 to 12, right? That was a lot of time. I remember when I did state time, if somebody came in with 5 years, that seemed like a lifetime to me.
Mm-hmm.
That seemed like a lifetime. 5 years? Damn, dog, I got 2 years. You never coming home. Now I'm in this place, Jay. Now I'm in this place, and people are literally begging for 10 years. So I became one of those people. I was like, man, listen, I don't know what's going on. Hey, told my lawyer, hey, give me 10 years, man. Tell him, give me 10. I hear everybody in here getting 10 years. I will take 10 years right now. So then he came back talking crazy. I got angry, and I turned that into motivation, and I kept fighting. So eventually I had to fire that lawyer because I realized that the lawyers in the federal system, they all get $10,000 for these are all paid lawyers, but they come in and get these free cases in the federal system because they get their money straight up. So now, if they could get you to cop out and take a plea, they get their money about 2 months after you take your plea. But if they got to go to trial with you, now they're working hard. Now, you know, they got to hope the judge pay them for their trial hours. So they're in there playing a game just like we was playing, trying to get us to cop out. So now I fired this bum lawyer, right? And the judge had the nerve to say to me in the court, it was funny, right, Jay, because she said to me, she said, Mr. Drew, why are you firing Mr. Begler? Mr. Begler's a decorated attorney in the Pittsburgh area. So I said, that's all fine and dandy, Your Honor. I just don't feel like he's efficient enough for what I'm trying to do. So she was like, what do you mean? What are you trying to do? He got 30 years. Mr. Begler, what are you practicing for? He said, Your Honor, I just celebrated 35 years of practice. She said, there you go, 35 years of practice. I said, okay. I said, well, there's a lot of people who play longer than Jordan, but that don't mean they could play like Jordan. I need somebody to play like Jordan right now, not somebody who played longer than Jordan. I said, Mr. Begler is a terrible attorney. And they looked, she said, that's enough, Mr. Drew. I said, well, you asked me because they have to ask you why you want to fire your attorney.
Yeah.
And I told her why. And then he explained to her why I wanted to fire her from his point of view. He said, Mr. Drew wants to fire me because he wants me to argue something that I don't believe is right. So she said, what does he want you to argue? He said, he wants me to argue Rule 40, Your Honor, of the Judicial Code. So the prosecutor started laughing. She said, why are you laughing, Mr. Rosen? He said, because, Your Honor, it's not Rule 40, it's Rule 41. So my lawyer's in there misstating codes and rules in the Judicial Code. This is the lawyer I got.
Thinking you don't know the language.
Yeah, and the prosecutor's laughing. So she asked the prosecutor, she said, Mr. Rosen, what is this Rule 41B? I never heard of it. Here's a judge that's been a judge for Kathy Bassoon for 15 years. He said, well, I just heard of it too, Your Honor. Is apparently we were supposed to get permission because what they did is they cloaked the whole case and made it seem like it was a state case when the whole time it was a federal case. So they went to get a warrant from a state judge in Pittsburgh to come grab me. Now they can do that, but they first have to go to a federal judge. They bypassed that whole law and did it their way. Now, the only thing I have to prove is that that particular thing they did prejudiced me, and I have to prove that they knowingly did it. So I got an arrogant U.S. attorney, Boston College graduate, right? He always say that, right? And he's big, you know, they're big on lawyers up in Boston, right? So he said to me, he said, Mr. Drew, can you prove that we knowingly did this? Because I said, you know, this is not the hearing for that. This is a hearing for me to get rid of my lawyer. I said, after we get rid of my lawyer, we have another hearing. We could discuss that, Mr. Rosen, because I already had in this book right here exactly what he said. Mr. Rosen said in our last hearing, Your Honor, this was an elaborate trap put together by me and Shane Countryman, Agent Shane Countryman, to disguise this case as a state case so that none of the other 35 members of this indictment would know that the federal government was on their heels. I had that all on paper.
Wow.
So yeah, I can prove that you knowingly did this, that you knowingly skipped past the federal judge and went to a state judge to get a search warrant because you didn't want them to know that you had a wiretap. Another thing they did, and they're doing this worldwide. And if anybody, I know JV, I know what type of crowd you get, all types of people, and you might still get some that's active. If you active, I'm gonna tell you this, right? Your case was never state. It was always federal. That's number one. Number two is this. All of that stuff they saying in your search warrant and you don't understand what they're talking about or who they're saying said this, you can't identify it, it's because it's a wiretap. So what they did in my case is they had a bunch of areas in my search warrant where they said, source of information told us this, source of information told us this. They were making it seem to the judge as if they had a confidential informant. The whole time their source of information was an illegal wiretap that they were running without the permission of the government. But of course, I couldn't prove the wiretap. That's one thing you will never get the government on. That's the one thing they pride themselves on. And the reason why, Jay Vega, I sat in Pittsburgh for 2 years fighting my case, 2.5 years. In that time, in that small 270,000 people city, I watched over 45 indictments come in there. The biggest one had 270 people on it, bro. So now, outside of Pittsburgh, you got areas like Squirrel Hill, Monroeville, where all of these quote unquote Europeans are selling, white people are selling a lot of drugs. But being that they're not doing it on corners, being they're not doing it in the projects, being that they don't have cars sitting outside on them, bumping music, that's not where they deploy the wiretap. Where do they deploy the wiretap? They deploy it in the neighborhoods where it's obvious you're going to get people that are into drugs. So what they do is pretty much predatory surveillance, right? They cast this wide net into the neighborhood where they know drug activity is going on. They wrap up all these people, and guess what? Out of a 36-man indictment, I would say only 10 of us was really getting money. Everybody else were addicts, bro.
Yeah, we seen that happen around my parts too. It happens all the time, man.
Yeah. So now, you know, this is the situation that I find myself up against. I'm realizing I'm fighting 1,000-pound gorilla. You know, through the graces of God, I went to Jersey. I handled that and beat them hands down. My lawyers down there was all over the place. I said, no, that's not how we're going to do it. We're going to do it like this. I think I'm a lawyer now. I'm up here fighting the feds.
Yeah.
Y'all tell me nothing. Listen, figure this out. So just so happened, you know, they had took all my money. I was down. My sister got me a lawyer. Shout out to my sister. Shout out to Javon. She got me a lawyer, her and my mother, Mark Andrew. Deep story about Mark. We became friends and everything. I go to Jersey. I beat that with Mark. I come back after firing my lawyer. I get a new lawyer named Marty Dietz. Marty Dietz come in. He's an animal. He's tough. He told me, he walked into the meeting. He said, listen, Sam, I'm going to tell you like this. If you hand me any nonsense, I'm not going to argue it. Straight up and down. But if you bring me something I could use, we could get to it. So now at this point, Jay, this is how the creator works. I already been to all my motion hearings, bro. The judge shot everything down. She literally told me in that courtroom on record, Mr. Drew, I don't care what you bring in here. I know you were selling heroin in Pittsburgh. I know you're guilty. And she was right. But we're not talking about whether or not I was selling heroin. We're talking about whether or not your officers of the court went about grabbing me the right way. The judicial manner.
Yep.
So now I fire my lawyer. I get Marty Dietz. I cannot put in no more motions. I can only put in reconsiderations. This is me asking them to please hear me.
So can you explain the difference between the two? Like, you know,
well, a motion is something that you have a right to. You have a right to put in motions saying that, listen, I'm filing a motion to suppress evidence on the grounds that this was an illegal search and seizure. Okay. I'm putting in a motion to suppress evidence. Suppress evidence means whatever you got caught with, you want it to be tossed out of court. So they can't use it. It's fruit of a poisonous tree because the officers went about getting it in an unlawful manner. Right? Cops break laws to get people who breaking laws. Not right. Two wrongs don't make it right. We got to expose it. Right? Now, I get my new attorney. I can't put in no more motions to fight for myself. I got to put in reconsiderations. This is me begging the government to hear me. So I put in a reconsideration. And they all got turned down. Now, it used to be just me and 3 other people in the law library all the time. You believe it's 750 people in this holding. And everybody else is talking about what's happening in the neighborhood, what's going on with their girlfriend, probably getting high, smoking, doing something inside of jail. But they're not fighting. They're not in the law library. It's the same 4 people, me and 3 other people. So one of those 3 other people, a good friend of mine, helped me out. One of the reasons why I'm home talking to you right now, he told me, he said, hey, you put in your other motions already? I said, yeah, they shot him down. He said, didn't they just bring Alwyn Vega in? Wow. I said, yeah. He said, well, the clock starts over. I said, what are you talking about? He said, if they just superseded your indictment, let me explain what that means.
Okay.
The guys who were telling on my case, who were testifying on my case, they brought in a couple connects, which is the plugs, the people who supply the drugs. Now, when they brought in the one that was tied to us, that means that they opened the indictment back up. So now I got to go back to court, get re-indicted, which is where they tell you your charges again. And they tell you, okay, now you could put in motions. They didn't tell me that I could put in motions. My guy in the law library, who was a prisoner like me, told me I could put in motions. I said,
wow.
I said, yeah. He said, yeah. But check this out, Vega. This is why he works in mysterious ways. Unfortunate for my guy, Aldwin, that had to be brought in. That's my guy. That's what opened the case back up for me. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that was your second chance.
This is my second chance. But by the time they did this, I perfected what I thought I knew.
Yep.
What I thought I knew, I really know now.
Yep.
I really know now. So now I get Marty Dietz, my new attorney. He said, what you got for me? I said, here you go. They were all typed up. He said, I'm going to get back to you. So he looked at him. He said, I never heard of this in my life. Where'd you get this from? I said, just do me a favor. A lot went into that. Just go check it out. He comes back a week later. You were right. I never heard of it, but you were right. And if what I think is right about what you have here, we have something. He said, she's not going to hear it, but we got to get it on record. Because in the judicial system, if you don't put it on record, that means going in court and saying, your lawyer say, Your Honor, for the record, I like to say XYZ. Or anything you say in that courtroom is now on record.
Yeah,
so
it's documented.
Yeah. So record is either a motion on paper being filed or you saying something in the courtroom right there. Because if you don't say it in the courtroom, when it comes time for you to get sentenced and you go to prison, now you want to fight your appeal, whatever you did not say on record when court was going on, you cannot argue on appeal.
Man, I hope y'all taking notes out there. The thing is to get you out of the streets, but for some of y'all, knuckleheads,
with a lot of us, right?
Yeah, for some of these knuckleheads, they might need some of the goal is to get you out of the streets. But for some of you knuckleheads, you might need this information. Give me one second, brother.
Yeah. Yep.
You can go ahead.
Yeah, but for some of them, they really need to hear it. And here's why. Because if they knew what they was up against before we even go up against it, we probably wouldn't try it.
Exactly.
We probably wouldn't try it, man. Because, like, that's a monster we're up against when you go up against them people. If you plan in any of those states where you get predominantly federal cases, like they're wrapping a lot of people up in New York now, you know, on these indictments and stuff. The whole point is, right, I'm not here to really be a federal lawyer. I'm here to forewarn you guys, man. It ain't worth it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it because I literally had to become somebody else. I had to become something I'm not making money off of right now. I became a lawyer, and I'm not an attorney. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of energy put into something that had to happen that could have been put into something a lot different. But we have to go through what we go through to get where we're trying to go, right?
Yes, sir.
This is the route I had to take to get where I am today. And I'm still taking routes, right? We're still going through stuff. But what I want you guys to know is that system is designed for you to fail from the inside and all of the crevices. It's like you cannot win that. It is a net. So I was talking to the captain of the holding facility where I was in, and I asked him, I said, Cap, they just brought in 98 people from one side of Pittsburgh. He said, yeah. He said, man, when they built this jail, one thing they promised us, the jail was in Youngstown, Ohio. Wasn't nothing going on in Youngstown but that jail and a bunch of crime. So people rely on that jail for work, right? He told me when they built this jail, it's a private prison, CCE, Correction Corp of America. They also trade on the U.S. stock market. Listen, when they opened that prison back in 1997, he said they promised us that they were going to keep these beds filled by any means necessary. These are private jails. Back then, they got so much money for each inmate. It was a business.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a lot of things that went into playing that part. Music, movies, everything. Influence. It was a lot of things that influenced, and it was all leading back to the penal system. Because from the late 80s, the crack era, the mid 80s, all the way up to early 2000s, prison was the business, man. We don't know that, though. Prison was the business.
They say, man, modern day slavery, man. You know what I'm saying?
Labor. It was cheap labor, bro. The prison I left, one of the prisons I left was making Samsung phones, bro, putting the cases together.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? And they stopped making the phones because brothers got hit. Brothers start stealing the phones and selling them on the compound. There you go. So, you know, there you go for your slave labor. But this whole thing, Jay, the process of going through this, having to fight, I just knew that wasn't a fight I wanted to do again. Being in there and being afraid to tell my 12-year-old, 11-year-old daughter at the time how much time I actually got. So after I left the county jail, I got sentenced. I lost trial. They sentenced me to 22 years. The most painful part was when they first brought me back downstairs and sat me in that cell. And I had about 20 minutes to think before the officers came and got me and shackled me up to take me back to jail. And that was the most hurtful part. The next day, it was back to business. I had to make sure that everything I had prepared for my appeal was ready to go for whatever attorney they're going to give me to help me fight my appeal. And more than likely, it was going to be a public defender from out of Philadelphia. And by the time I got to Ferreton, which was the jail I went to after I lost trial, they call it your home jail after you go through pre-trial. Then you go to prison. So I went to Ferreton right here in New Jersey. Went to Ferreton prison. And finally, I got my transcripts from my trial. It was a week and a half long, bunch of papers, 10,000 papers. And it was nothing in there. I had no fight in the trial. They had me dead to right on conspiracy. People don't even understand conspiracy. Like, the only thing I really got to do is just really truthfully know you. And if I have a background, don't let me have a background. So it's a thing that they're doing where they're running these illegal wiretaps and they're not getting permission from the judge. What they're doing is they're running the device back then called the Stingray. I'm pretty sure that device has advanced since then. It was called the Stingray device. And through this device, you could capture up to 160,000 cell phone ISMI numbers at the same time.
Wow.
So meaning probably a 4 to 6 mile radius. So what they do with this device is they get to listen to everybody and everything that you're saying, anybody that you get in contact with. So where the unlawfulness comes in is when you deploy this device, you're now violating the rights of everybody, not just the person you're looking at, the person of interest, right? You're getting Jay Vega, you're getting his daughter, you're getting everybody else who got a cell phone around us. This is what makes it illegal. It's a breach of privacy, right? And now they're doing this without even the judge's permission. So when we think, I used to say when I was in the streets, right, I would have a phone and then I would have another phone. I would say, this is my personal phone. This is my business phone. You don't realize until you go to the feds how stupid you actually are. I felt like such an idiot, right? Because they had all my phones, the home phone, the work phone, this phone and that phone. They had all the phones because the one phone was always near the other phone.
Yeah.
And phones become receivers. So now you're thinking you have my hustle phone and my family phone. So you ditch your hustle phone, right? Because you're smart. Every 2 weeks you get rid of your phone. You smart. You a genius, right? But you never get rid of the family phone. So now they lost you. They don't hear you on the wire because you lost this phone. So now who they listening to? Jay Vega's mom.
Your family. Yep.
His mom. They're listening. Wow. They had a conversation of me and my daughter, me schooling my 10-year-old daughter on how to kill a spider and be brave. They listened to my daughter's conversation when by law, they only supposed to listen to up to 15 seconds. And if it's nothing lawful, they're supposed to cut that conversation. Of course, they don't follow that. So what I'm telling people out there is this game is not designed for you to win. You don't have a safe phone. You're not supposed to have no phone. They can turn your phone into a receiver. My guy who I was dealing with in Pittsburgh, he made a call to me, and after he hung up, he was saying to his boy in the car with him, listen, man, that's my guys from Jersey. We going to the club later. Yo, we going to meet them over there. They're my guys. I want you to meet them. I'm saying, hold on. I'm listening to the wiretaps. He said, all right, yo, I'm going to holler at you later. I said, all right, I'm going to holler at you too. We hung up, but I still hear his conversation. They ask for permission to turn your phone into a receiver in their affidavit for a wiretap, which is their permission slip for a wiretap. So it's like, it's just so many different parts that I had to dip into, so many different areas of not knowing, but having to find out. And eventually I got to Farrington. I got my public defender. She told me the same thing. She said, listen, I'm going to tell you like this. You don't have nothing coming to you from the trial. Don't ask me to argue nothing from the trial. I said, okay, well, check this out. You take this. This is her revised version. She did this and made it look pretty for the U.S. government, you know, but this is all my work. I said, here, you take this. And if you're not going to argue this, then I'll get another lawyer. She said, okay. This was our conversation. She said, okay, I'm going to take this, check it out. Remember what I said about that trial? I said, okay, remember what I said about that book? She took it and she came back and she said, let's go. I said, let's go. She said, everybody says this. She said, I never heard of this Rule 41B, but yeah. So long story short, I finally now have to tell my daughter how much time I got. So her and my mother comes down and visit me. I told her, bring her down here. Let me tell her. Come on, man. You telling your only child? Like, obviously, I wasn't the greatest father in the world because I was selling drugs, right? And putting my family in harm's way. But from an unconscious standpoint, I swore I was super dad.
Yeah.
But all the actions, you know.
Well, you know, I don't mean to interrupt, but I say, like, yo, when we out there doing that, man, you know, we under the impression that we doing the right thing, you know, like, yeah. Like, I know when I was doing it, man, you know, me and my daughter talk about it. I was a damn fool. I used to ride around with my daughter in the car while I was hustling. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I was so ignorant to the point telling her, like, yo, baby, you're going to take over for daddy one day. This is how ignorant I was as a young man and as a child. You know what I'm saying? But we think that, you know, we doing our thing. We taking care of our family. We putting food on the table. We buying people what they want, taking them out. But at the end of the day, man, that's really not it. You know what I'm saying? Because as we look back now, you know, none of those things matter. But does my daughter remember, you know, me doing those things, and has it left an imprint on her and in her life? Yes, it has, you know, but I thank God for the glory to be able to have turned it around and be in the position that we're in today. But, you know, a lot of people do things in ignorance, and ignorance doesn't mean that you're stupid. It just means that you're unlearned. And coming from the environment and the circumstances that we come from, you know, we look at this stuff as acceptable behavior. We think it's okay, you know, but, you know, thank God that we got a brother like Santino that's coming on here, and he's sharing with you guys, and he's giving you the whole insight on the whole thing, man, to let you know, like, the odds are stacked against you. And no matter what your mindset is approaching the game, like, nah, it ain't it. It ain't it. So
definitely not it. Definitely not it. And the crazy part about it is, right, you know, my daughter, I was everything to her. Like, we had a very great connection. Like I said, they got phone calls of her calling me and saying, Dad, I did it. I killed the spider. She's 10 years old. Like, this is us. You know, me teaching her how not to be afraid, right? And she come down now, and I'm talking all of this, and I'm afraid. I'm afraid to face a little girl and tell her that her dad won't be home to 2034. At the time, it's 2016. So, you know, she's gonna be 35, kids. I'm gonna be a granddad. I'm not gonna see none of that. So she comes down, and unbeknownst to me, her mom had already told her. So as soon as she come in the visit hall, she bawling, she crying. Yo, she started crying so much that the people around visiting didn't know what was going on. A few ladies start crying too. They was like, just started crying because they didn't know what happened. They like, I don't know what just happened. So my mom started welling up and crying. My mom obviously already knew. And I just looked at both of them. I said, look at me, both of y'all. I said it just like that. Look at me right now. I leaned forward. I said, look me in my eye. I said, I will be home. What you see is not what you get. I will be home. So my daughter's like, will you be home? They said 20 years. I said, I'll be home in 2 years. I don't know where that came from. I said 2 years. There's no way for you to know when your appeal is going to be decided. Even after decided when you're going to go home, they tell you that. You just got to wait for your name to be called.
Yeah.
There's no set time frame or time requirement or anything like that, right?
And what you say, what's the percentage of appeal cases that actually even get heard, let alone overturned?
2%.
2%.
And a smaller percent actually get overturned. Less than 1%.
So you was taking that chance against all odds back up against the wall. I'm coming home.
I became a master of pessimism. And what I mean by that is I used to go to the jailhouse lawyers that, you know, good guys, in there with a lot of time, man, and just couldn't get home no matter what they tried. I would go to them and whip my situation just to hear them tell me I'm not going to go home. I needed to hear that. I didn't want to be so biased to my situation. I tell my students that if you're in a trade, don't talk about what you hope. Don't be biased. Look at that chart and tell yourself what that chart is telling you. So now you can be strategized when it goes. But if I'm constantly thinking this way and not thinking what could really, you know, be, then I'm leaving myself vulnerable. You see what I'm saying? So now at this point, you know, I told my daughter 2 years. I don't know where this comes from. I walk with my mentor every day on the yard, and he asks me every single day. He said, bro, they gave you 22 years. He would get on my nerves, but he was older than me, so I didn't mind it, right? And I said, yeah, bro, but I ain't going to do 22 years. I'll be home in 2 years. I used to always just say that, bro. I don't know why. And lo and behold, when that decision came back, we used to get emails in the federal prison, core links. So you go sit on the computer, check your email. I get an email from my attorney. She said, hey, listen, call me ASAP. There's been a break in your case. So now at this time, they're doing a lot of criminal justice reform and all of this stuff. So I'm like, man, I'm tired of hearing about these laws changing and Obama helping people. I don't want to hear about this stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I took my time. I went back to work, came back, and I got another email from her. She said, don't worry about calling me. I set up an appointment with your guidance counselor tomorrow. So we'll be on the phone tomorrow. I get on the phone the next day. She said, hey, there's been a break in your case. I said, okay, what's up? So she said, well, remember when you kept asking me, why is the federal government taking so long to answer us back? I said, yeah. She said, well, they concede with you. Now I knew what concede mean, but I needed to hear it again. I said, what do you mean? She said, that means they agree with your arguments. They agree that the evidence should be thrown out. Whew. All right, so what does that mean? She said, well, the kilo of heroin got to go out. They can't use that for evidence no more. That was a big chunk of your case. She said, now we had just had a conspiracy charge for which I doubt they want to take you to trial again unless they could show that all the heroin that they were showing before. It's hard to, it's hard to bring you back and try to threaten you with the same amount of time and they don't have that evidence no more. Yeah. Even though they could. Because in the feds, if you get caught with money instead of drugs, they'll turn the money into drugs. So if you got 200,000, they'll break that down into kilos.
Get out of here.
Yeah, the cost of kilos. Yeah, that's how, you don't want to play with them. So listen, anyway, so she tells me this. So she was like, they're offering you 10. I said, Maria, only time I ever wanted 10 was when I first got in the county jail in Pittsburgh. I wanted whatever to take that 10 and get out of that cell they had me in. It was dirty. It was filthy. The food was disgusting. I said, listen, I'm not taking 10. I went to trial because I want to be home by my daughter's prom. I already missed her 8th grade dance. I could see her face in the pictures while she around her friends who got their fathers there with them. And she know what kind of father I was. I was the father that taught her how to shoot. I was the father that put crooked ponytails, all of that.
Been there, done that.
I'm not missing the prom.
I don't know. I lost you on the other feed. Lost you on both feeds. Ah, man. I tell you, man, this internet stuff, man. We're going to get it eventually. We're going to get it eventually. Just send me a request. I'm going to send you another invite link, I guess. Okay. So you can utilize the same link. But yeah, listen up, man. Like, yo, my man's letting y'all know what it is, man. Like, yo, the game is rigged. You know, a lot of us are playing the game that, you know, it's not meant for us to win. You know, they call it the trap for a reason. You know what I'm saying? We go out there, you know, they put the bait in front of us. They dangle the things that look good, taste good, and feel good in front of us. We take the bait. We wind up trapped off. Ultimately, what winds up happening, not only are we the only ones that lose, but our children lose as well. And this is why we're here, to communicate this message to you guys, man, that, yo, as a people, we have to stop taking losses, especially these type of losses, you know, like, if we can take that same type of mindset, energy, grit, and determination that we use in life to do the wrong things, then we can turn it around and do positive things. And, you know, guys like Santino and myself are just an example of that, you know, and it's just to show you that anything is possible, that, you know, your past doesn't have to dictate your current situation or your future. You know what I'm saying? Your areas of your life where things didn't go the way that you desired, that doesn't have to be an indication of what you have to deal with right now, you know? So go ahead, brother. You still, let me see if we can, there we go. I got you back on Facebook and YouTube. So we Gucci now.
I went to trial to avoid 10 years, right? So I said, I'm not taking 10 years. I said, tell them I'll take time served right now. And, you know, she said, all right, I'll talk. But I'm not sure if they're going to do time served. I said, well, I'm definitely not doing 10 years, so they got to come off something. I said, they already know my part. They already know what happened. Everybody told, the story's out, the gig is up. Let me go home. It's over.
Yeah. Did you unplug your mic?
No, I don't think so.
Nah, because I'm not getting sound on one end. I don't know. Yo, man, I'm gonna figure this out eventually, man. I'm gonna get right with this, you know, this streaming thing, man, because I'm not playing games with it. This is what I want to do. So we gonna work through it. It's like I was telling Jamil. I said, yo, man, as frustrating as it is, man, I just learned how to have fun with the process till we get it right. You know, I don't care if we got to run this one back again, man. People need to hear this. Yo, and it looks like we got some dudes on the live, man, that been through the mud. You know what I'm saying? That, you know, we seen a lot of dudes checking in on the Fed side of things, you know, and I even seen a couple of dudes from around my way jump in, you know, and get in on this, man. So we speaking to the people, man. There's some real ones out there that's paying attention. So, Sam, just keep going, man, because you schooling me on a lot of things I never knew. You know what I'm saying? Now I have no sound. I don't know what you did, but I have no sound at all. Nothing. Nothing. Yo, man, this is frustrating, man, because this is good stuff. It's on your end. Still nothing. Yo, Bay Street Trapper, man, good looking out on the check-in, man. You know what I'm saying? We appreciate you, man. We see what it is, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, shout out to all the real ones out there, the dudes that been through it. Yo, Neek, what's good, brother? You know what I'm saying? Like I told you, bro, like, yo, we bringing real ones on here, man. We talking to the people. We waking our people up, you know, and we letting them know that there's something different, man. There's something better out there. Like Santino's just laying the foundation, you know, to let you know what he's been through, to what it took for him to get to where he's at, you know. And now the brother's doing some amazing things, man, because, you know, he's getting into, he's taking that energy and he's redirected it, and now he's going out there to be a voice of the people, to educate the people. So, you know, from becoming a CEO to Wise Money Academy, motivational speaker, he's an influencer. You know, he has his own trading room, you know, where he's teaching people how to trade the options and begin to build and secure wealth. You know, it's like, this is what it's really about, man. Dudes that understand your pain, dudes that have been through your process, dudes that, you know, like they've had their back up against the wall, dudes that were challenged, dudes that were told that they would never have a chance in life or have an opportunity, you know. But we the dudes that against all odds that say nothing's going to stop us or stand in the way of us getting to what it is that we have to accomplish. You know, and the one thing, like for me, like with Sam, man, it was like, yo, my daughter changed my life. You know what I'm saying? The being a father and understanding that I had a responsibility of somebody else's life in my hands, that me not being there was essentially going to affect me in that way. You know, and that was one of the things too, like I said, being locked up, you know what I'm saying? By no means did my bid look anything like Santino's, man. I was blessed. I was able to do a shock bid, you know what I'm saying? It was, you know, everything came together right for me. I was blessed, man. But it was enough for me to be able to turn it around because I realized some things. And that's one of the things, like Santino was saying, like when you're in that position, you learn a lot about yourself. And then you're able to take those things that you learn about yourself in a deep, dark place and then turn it around and use it for your good, to benefit you and put you in a position in life to be able to, you know, to move beyond them circumstances and make better decisions, you know. And ultimately, that's what it's all about. How are you on the sound? Still nothing. Yeah, your sound is good on my end. You blacked out on the Facebook and the YouTube, and there's still no sound on the Instagram.
How about now?
I got you.
We got sound?
We got sound, but I don't have you on YouTube and Facebook. Whatever happened, the screen went black.
All right. I don't know why that happened.
There you go. I see the two. I see you popped up a little something right there. But yeah, man, there you go. And listen, man, we're not technology dudes, so you know what? Forgive us, man.
It's all good. It's all good.
You know
we gonna make it happen, man. We gonna make it happen.
We making it happen. You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
against all odds. You know what I'm saying?
They're not gonna let that get in the way of the message. So
yeah.
So Jay, so now
Another thing, if you can just turn down the mic, the Yeti a little bit, because that's probably where the feedback's coming in.
Got you. How about now?
Try one more time.
Coming from here. How about now?
Still got a little echo. Can you just use the mic on the computer?
That's the one I'm using.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so it's not an external USB mic. It's just the one that's built in?
Yep, it's the one that's built in.
All right. So, yeah, let's just rock, man. We going. I don't want nothing to interrupt
you still getting the echo?
Forget it. Let's just keep going, man. Like, yo, it's gonna try to knock us off our pivot. We got to get this message out.
No doubt.
You know what I'm saying?
No doubt. Hey, listen, so the thing is, you know, I wasn't going to take the 10 years because, you know, it would have put me so far away from being able to do the things that matter most, like getting home and being at my daughter's prom for the first time, things of that nature. So I told them no. You know, long story short, they came back and they said, listen, they're afraid that if they come any lower than 7, that you're going to keep playing games with them. So I went back and I talked to my cellmate at the time, and he told me, man, just stop playing with them. Take the 7 years. You already got 3 years in, 4 years in at the time. I would only have to do like another 2 years and come home, right? If I took you know, the RDAP criminal mindset program, which was a rough program. So you got to figure, if you complete this program, you get 2 years off your sentence. In order for the feds to give you 2 years off, you know the program's not a pushover, right? It's not a walk in the park, because the feds don't give you nothing for free, right? So I took the program, and lo and behold, man, that thing I told my daughter, not only did I come home in 2 years, man, but I came home on her birthday.
Wow.
October 3rd, 2018, I came home. And it was just a beautiful thing, man. You know, to know that there was nobody in there that would tell me that they believe I was going to do it. And rightfully so. Their pessimism was warranted. That's a rabbit hole that you find yourself in. It is very, very, very little and thin vines to climb up out of there, man. And I did it. And when I did it, I knew there had to be something bigger. Why did I just go through all this and turn it around? Why?
Come on.
At the time I was in there, I managed to run into a guy who taught me all about the stock market. That's the mentor I told you I walk with every morning. And he used to always ask me, man, you in here studying law? You in here studying stocks and economics? He used to be like, man, you a bad joker, man. They gave you 20 years, though. He couldn't believe it. Like, he was in there with like a little 4 years or something. And he couldn't believe that I had 20 years and that I walked around him every day like I didn't have 20 years, because, Jay, I didn't have 20 years.
That's right. Not in your mind.
That's what they wanted to give me.
Yeah.
That's what they pushed over to me. But just because they slid that plate next to me don't mean I had to eat it. Yep. I never accepted that time. So it was crazy, because when she told me I won, it was almost as if I expected to hear it, so it didn't hit me emotionally yet. So one day I was jogging. I'm listening to my MP3 player. I'm jogging on the big track. They had the big track like high school. I'm jogging. And I just started thinking about it. It's over. I'm on my way home. And man, I start crying like a baby while I'm running. Right there. I realized at that moment, and it wasn't until that moment that I was able to throw all that paperwork I had away. I used to have stuff written down on everything, on like cookie wrappers and everything, like paper bags, scrap paper. Like, if I got a thought, I needed to write it down. A case citation, anything, a code, I need to write it down. And I always felt like I couldn't get rid of that stuff. And then one night I got rid of that stuff, and I literally knew what it meant in that moment, what it feel like to have a burden lifted off of your shoulders.
You know what the unique thing about that is, though, right? You got rid of all the paperwork, man, but the attributes, the mindset, the discipline, the perseverance, the fortitude, the hunger, you know what I'm saying? That's what you discovered about yourself in that situation. You realized what you were truly capable of as a man. You know what I mean? That when you put your mind to something, you know, beyond the 9th grade education, beyond being a dude from the streets, like, you beat the federal government. Like you said, only 2% even have a chance of having their appeal heard. It's even less than a chance of someone actually winning. And you were able to do that. So talk about how discovering those things about yourself, you know, and the things that you learned, like you said, because, you know, you was in there, you was learning stocks, you was learning finance, you were studying economics. How did those things position you for the man that we see today?
Well, it was just a thought to even, from a law standpoint, the thought to even fight, right? That wasn't my first time in jail. I remember I lost trial in the state. It seems like that's all I know how to do is go to trial, right? I lost trial in the state, and I attempted to fight the appeal after reading like one book in the law library. I said, hell with this appeal, you know, forget this. I'm not doing this, right? And it was a different feeling then as a grown man trying to get home to, you know, his most precious gift. So it's like, it's a different, I can't do that. I can't take that approach now. Right. So having those, like, just even getting through that situation, man, it takes a certain mental fortitude. And for me, again, it's accountability and gratitude, right? And being grateful. So when I was in federal holding, this is one of the things that helped me most. When I was in federal holding, and I just found out that the, you know, two guys that, you know, I was up there with, you know, they were going to testify against me. And these were guys that I grew up with from day one.
Wow. Wow.
And you know, I was mad. I was, you know, trying to send wires to people, send letters to people in different parts of different jails where I think they're at, trying to get stuff, you know, done to them and things like that. And I guess I'm just walking around with this demeanor. So my cellmate at the time, who happened to be, you know, I won't put his name out there, but he was Russell Westbrook, the basketball player, was his uncle. And this was my cellmate, my guy. He older than me, and he pulled me to the side one day because he knew them too. We was all in the same unit until they separated them when they decided to do what they did. And he was like, "Let me tell you something, man." He said, "A heart full of hate creates a mind full of confusion."
Say that again.
He said, "A heart full of hate creates a mind full of confusion." So I just looked at him. I said, "Yo, what you talking about?" And he was like, "I see you walking around. I see your face all day. I see you like you're pondering. You're trying to figure out ways to satisfy this anger you got for these guys who told on you. I get it, man." He said, "I get it." He said, "But if you don't let that go, you're going to be stuck on that and not finding a way out." So I still wasn't trying to hear what he was saying, but it kicked the next day because I went the whole day without going to the law library, not one time. So that means I was stressing over something I knew was going to happen anyway. Because that's how it plays out, right? This is your lesson. This is the creator putting this lesson on you. So everything about to go the way you never expected it to. So I already expect these things because, you know, so it's like, okay, heart full of hate creates a mind full of confusion. I haven't been to the law library in a day, 3-4 days. Okay, I see what he's talking about. He right, man. What am I doing focusing on stuff I can't control? Let me get back on this. I got back on that because of what he said. Before that, I was about to be like the guys who I watched after I got sentenced and went to my, you know, to the federal prison they sentenced me to. I watched guys around there with 40, 50, 60 years in life that's worried about your paperwork, meaning whether or not you told on somebody when you come in the door, because you're from New York. So all the New York guys want to know if your paperwork is right. But most of them, a few of them New York guys got life, been to jail, been in there since forever and can't find a way out. They pay every lawyer, but they worried about who told. A heart full of hate creates a mind full of confusion. Those same people blame everybody but themselves for their situation. You know, it's the first thing they say. If my man wouldn't have never told, I wouldn't be here. No, if your man wouldn't have told, you'd probably be dead. Or maybe you'd have killed somebody else.
Yep. Nobody ever goes that deep. Nobody ever looks to it beyond, you know, where they're at with it, man, and understand that, you know, possibly you could have got saved. You know what I mean? Like, for me, like I tell people, man, like when I got locked up, best thing ever happened to me. Because if not, I would have been an addict. You know what I mean? Because not only was I selling drugs, but I was getting high. You know what I'm saying? And I liked my high. And then when my high didn't work no more, what happened? You graduate to something else. So like I knew my fate. Like, you know, hindsight's 20/20, man. You know, so you never know. Like sometimes being in that situation could be the very thing that you need to be the catalyst to produce a paradigm shift inside of your mind to put you in a better position in life, you know?
Yeah, definitely, man. Hey, listen, you know just like I know, man. Like when you sleep, when you're rocked to sleep with the way that you are moving in life, right? You don't know it until that point where you're awakened. And once you awaken, you start to look at the other thing as if like you can never be at that point again. It's like an awakening. You know, once you make that firm decision to not do something or to do something, that decision becomes firm. Like that's a firm decision you just made. So for me, I felt like such an idiot after I exposed myself to what that system was really about. I can't really say it was so much about my daughter or about me not wanting to be there, or about my mother looking like she getting older every time she come up there. No, you know what it was about? It was about how much of an idiot I was for ever playing this game in the first place.
Yeah. Check your Instagram. You look like the Wi-Fi on the Instagram is spinning. There we go. You good. Yep, you good.
Okay. Yeah. So for me, man, getting around the right energy while I was in there, because we are who we keep around us.
Say that again. Say that again.
We are who we keep around us. We are who we gravitate towards.
Wow.
And no matter what you think you may have better than them, you are them. That's why you're around them. Y'all have a commonality. And that's why you be around them. So I started to gravitate more towards people who were trying to do something better, people who were looking like if they let them out right now, they're not coming back in here. And it wasn't because I learned how to trade stocks. It wasn't because I learned economics. It wasn't because I learned about credit or LLCs or tax liens or any of that stuff that I learned. It wasn't because I got kitchen certification. It wasn't because of none of that. It was because I was never going to put myself in a position to devalue myself and put myself in a place of harm again. Never. Not for that cause. Not for that.
No, I hear you.
So once that decision was made, it wasn't because I found a new way to get money. It was because I found a new way to think. So if I had to come home and work at McDonald's, in 3 years, I would have been running 10 of them. And I would have humbly went to McDonald's because I was just in there working in the kitchen for $100 a month. I humbly planned my arrival. I didn't back myself into a corner. Listen, if you out there and you got people that's coming home from jail, or you just came home from jail, don't back yourself into a corner. Be real, man. If you've been gone for a year, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years, and they were all right, they're going to be all right now until you get right. Think realistically. Stop thinking you got to come home and be Superman, get back in the driver's seat, because it's that egotistical behavior that's going to lead you right back down the path of destruction. Because now you feeding back into that character. You worried about how people looking at you. In my plans, in my book of plans that I typed up in the feds that I still have, because all of them have not came to fruition yet. In my plans, it says that I will sleep on my mother's couch for 2 years. I gave myself 2 years on my mother's couch. Look, you don't believe me? What does that say, Jay? I will live with my mother for approximately 1.5 to 2 years until I get myself together. My mother had a very small but cozy and comfortable and clean house, but it was very small for a big man like me just coming home from jail. No money in the backyard. All I got is a little bit of kitchen experience. And I got this skill that I got to get some money in order to use first. And this is why people come to me talking about, learning how to trade, Jay. And then they're talking about, I don't have the money, but I see they're working. I don't really see that as an excuse. I don't feel sorry for you, because I was working at the Hilton for $15 an hour, and that's how I funded my account.
Yeah. So let me tell people this, right? This is one of the things, and this blew my mind because, I've invested in some high-level education. But Dr. Della Toro told me this, man. He said it's never a lack of resources, always a lack of resourcefulness.
Woo. Say that one more time.
It's never a lack of resources, but always a lack of resourcefulness.
Wow.
You have to learn to train your mind to connect to the resources that are all around you. Whatever it is that you want or you have need of, it's all around you. You just have to develop the resourcefulness to be able to see the opportunities that you could take advantage of in order to put you in the position of what it is that you desire. And the thing about it is when I seen that, I was like, yeah, I've been doing that my whole life. Like, I give people the analogy when them lights is about to be shut off and you ain't got no money, you make sure them lights stay on. Your mind connects to a solution. You come very resourceful when your back's up against the wall. So take that same energy, keep it, and put it towards everything. Like, it's never a lack of resources. What we have need of is all around us. We just have to find ways to allow our mind to connect to the resources that are there and that are available to us.
Definitely, bro. Well put. And it's simple. Being resourceful means that if you want to start a business, just go on Google and say, how do I start a business? That's being resourceful. Because what happens is when you create that momentum, more things start to happen, more information start to come out, more resources become available. I told you, opportunities is like the wind, man. They're everywhere. But they're only available to those who have the mindset to see them. And then those who are the professional decision makers in life, they execute on them. And that's what it was. I made a decision to execute. I made a decision to learn stocks, options, economics. I made a decision. I made a plan. I was intentional about my decision. Planning. If your people are coming home, tell them to make a plan and tell them to make sure their plan is based on them, not nobody else. Meaning, my brother got a trucking company. He going to let me drive for him when I come home. No. Your plans have to be based on what you can do for yourself. Not to say that you don't accept help from others, but you have to be self-reliant. You have to be willing to be self-sufficient. Humble yourself. You're not the person you used to be. Besides, you're better than who you used to be, because all the things that you thought you were used to, those were just cloaks and covers to hide the fact that we all come from broken homes and low self-esteem.
Wow.
The car, the jewelry, all the sneakers you got, how you treat the women, how you talk amongst your men, how you feel like you're a leader out there. But when you drive that Benz to the other side of town where everybody got one, you don't feel like nothing. So you keep the Benz in the neighborhood because your self-esteem low. You got a Benz, but you got a crackhead aunt. Your self-esteem low. You got a Benz, but your best friend just died last week. It's low self-esteem. That's what we suffer from. We don't know it because we get so caught up in these characters, right? That we blind ourselves from really seeing who we are or what we're becoming. But once we strip ourselves from all that, we're slapped. We wake up in a place where we don't want to be. Like I found myself, like you found yourself. You start to realize, who was I actually being out there? So that's the thing. Humble yourself. Don't back yourself into no corner. You're just getting home. You ain't got to buy your daughter nothing for Christmas. Her Christmas gift is you. Your presence.
Come on.
And if you ain't teaching her that, you teaching her wrong.
Come on, man.
Can't accept that, I don't have no other wisdom to give her.
Come on. Wow.
So humble yourself. Don't back yourself into a corner. Do the little things. Get your license. Get your social security card. Get your birth certificate. Do the little things. Stop being in a rush. And stop looking at what everybody else doing, saying you want to do that. If you jumping on everything everybody else doing every other week, that's because you have not yet found your purpose. Nothing wrong with you. At least you're trying to do something, but you must find your lane. And those were the things I had. In this book, it wasn't based on something somebody else told me. It was based on something somebody put me up on, and I was intrigued by, and I developed a passion for. Again, this thing says first 6-month goals upon release. Let's look at it. Listen, tell your people if they're on their way home, they need to do this. If they're not doing this, don't listen to what they're talking to you. They're talking your ear off. Out of 100 of the ones that's coming home right now that's talking people ear off and not really having a plan or nothing intentional to show that they're really trying to execute in this manner when they get home, trust me, it's a very small number out of that 100 that could come home and succeed without a plan.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I'm gonna say this, right? Because we could be speaking to people that are out there right now, but they have incarcerated mindsets.
Yes.
You're free physically, but your mind is bound.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
Because there's a lot of dudes that I know, man, like they prisoners to their past. They prisoners to their, their experiences or to their reputation or people's expectations of them. So you still have an incarcerated mindset. And the only way to alleviate that and to escape that, like Santino's giving you a plan. Write out a detailed plan. Be specific. Set deadlines.
Be realistic.
Yeah, be realistic.
Be humble in that plan. Nobody owes you nothing. You have nothing. See, the problem is with us, Jay, we run around that jail, especially in the federal system, right? Because you can buy knockoff, not knockoff, but the Nike sneakers they didn't want. Sometimes you might get some dope ones, like some LeBrons or something, some offbeat LeBrons or whatever. And people walk around, they buy that stuff. And they, in their mind, when they're buying all this commissary and they're buying all these sneakers and they need new sweatsuits and sunglasses, like, where are you going? Where are you going? But we're still caught up in this character.
Yeah.
A lot of us wait till we get home to change. It is too late.
Ooh. Wow.
Listen, you are who you are no matter where you find yourself. So what you do on a smaller scale will affect you on a bigger scale. Young guy used to sweep the floor every day in Fort Dix prison. I used to sweep the floor every day, and I used to sweep it very good because they was always trashing the floor in the hallway. You got 150 dudes living in the dorm. So a young guy said to me one day, "Hey, OG, why you always cleaning the floor like that? So good too, man. I know you don't need this job. You don't need this money." I said, "No, but we have to work. I accepted this job. So my integrity tells me that I got to do it right because I accepted it, for one. For two, we live here. Why wouldn't I want to sweep the floor?" I said, "But the most important thing is this, youngin." I said, "If I could take sweeping this floor this serious for $14 a month, how will I treat my own business when I get home?"
Mindset, man. Mindset.
If I could sweep this floor this good for $14 a month, and this isn't mine, how am I going to treat anything else that I touch that's in my possession? I'm going to be a steward of it. And
say that again. Say that word again. Steward.
I'm going to be a steward of that thing. So
that's a principle. That's a principle that works in life, man.
Definitely.
Stewardship.
Definitely, bro. So that was my main ingredient. My main ingredient was having a plan. I didn't think I was better than any other dudes in there. I had some homeboys that still wouldn't veer off on the side with me, and I still kick it with them. But you got to mind your energy. I have a meter. I have a barometer inside of me that tells me when I've been here too long.
Oh, my God. Come on.
Because now it's either I'm going to indulge and succumb to your energy and start talking about things you want to talk about, or I'm going to protect my energy, get away, or try to overpower a conversation that I'm not going to win because I'm one person in here with 5 other ignorant dudes that I like.
Yep.
And they're not on my level. So I'm going to lose that argument all day. You know what they're going to say? You think you're better than us.
Yep.
So I know I pay attention to my barometer. It's time to go. The alarm went off. All right, guys, I'm going to holler at y'all. Yo, let me get to work, whatever. Were you going to study them stocks? Yeah, I'm going to go study them stocks. They go to Wiseman. That's what they say when they see me and my mentor and the 3 or 4 other people, minorities. We were minorities there because we were the only ones on this financial education that we knew of. But when we walked the compound, everybody be like, they go to Wiseman. And that's why I came home and named my company Wise Money Academy. And also, older guy told me when I first got there, I'm new to the game. I'm looking, I said, yo, why does this look like a college? Like it's set up like it got these buildings, 4 buildings. And then in order for you to get anywhere, you got to walk out on grass, ducks everywhere and stuff. And you got to walk where you got to go, whether you're going to eat, you're going to the gym, you're going to medical, you're outside. It looks like a college campus. So he told me, he said, I'm going to just tell you like this, youngin', this either going to be your playground or this could be your university. He said it's a playground for a fool or a university for a wise man. So I was like, what you mean university for a wise man? Obviously, I didn't even gravitate towards the fool comment. And he said, man, there's so much information down here. He said, everybody down here, man, the loan shark guys, the Wall Street guys, everybody.
And bring your face up a little closer on the Instagram. All I see is the mic and the plant.
And I didn't really and I didn't really understand what he was saying until I got in there. Soon as I got in there, went to the library the first night, there's books laying around about credit, books laying around about LLC. It's all type of stuff, all types of classes going on. So I found my elective and I fell in love with it, stocks, options, and economics. I dug into it. I learned it. Like I said, you know, coming from a person who got kicked out of every school he ever went to, never desired to go past the 9th grade. And I learned this sophisticated education. I learned it, and I'm able to hold the conversation with anybody down here that come from Wall Street. In fact, I know a little bit more than them about trading, and they'll tell me that. And the one thing one of my mentors told me, he was from South Africa, older white gentleman, and he told me, he said, listen, I told him thank you for everything he was, you know, teaching me, and he just told me, man, you could thank me by just going home and putting your people on. He said the biggest misconception is that guys like me don't want people like you to know this information. It's not that. He said, we just ain't got time to teach you.
Wow.
That's it. You know, so he said, go out there, school your people, and that's it. And he was just one of my mentors. My main teacher, Wall Street, Gershon Clark, he's from Asbury, New Jersey. And he's one of the greatest stock pickers I ever seen in my life. He knows the market inside and out. And that was my mentor, along with Jamil. You know, Jamil happened to be his mentor. It was crazy how me and Jamil met because we were on Clubhouse. And I started talking about supply demand, which is a form of stock chart reading.
Mm-hmm.
It's a specific skill set that not many people know. And I started talking that, and that's what made him reach out to me. Like, yo, you said supply and demand. Yo, let's get up. So the whole time, my mentor came home 3 months after me in 2018. And the whole time he telling me about this mentor he got. He like, man, you think I know charts, man? This guy's crazy, man. He know, man, I'm telling you. He's bragging. I'm like, man, let me meet him. You hold him to the side, let me meet him. So he's like, no, it's going to happen. So lo and behold, a couple years later, after hearing about this mentor, we get on Clubhouse, COVID hit. I meet Jamil. Me and Jamil talking. I tell Jamil my story. So he just said, bro, do you know Gershon Clark? Jamil from upstate New York. I'm from Jersey. Gershon from South Jersey. Degrees of separation are there. And he said, man, you know Gershon Clark. I said, man, I was just about to ask you the same thing, bro. He said, I said, yeah, that's who brought me into this stock thing, man. He said, man, I met that brother at such and such school. And I said, yeah, he told me you the sharpest guy he ever met. And, you know, me and Jamil been friends and brothers ever since. And that's one of my mentors too. And again, man, you know, me and Jay really wanted to make this segment for, you know, specifically for those who out there who come from a life that we lived or, you know, have suffered, you know, the same thought process that we suffered, right? And that we overcame and found our opportunity in, right? If you on here or if you on your way, dwindling out of control, he wanted me to come on here and talk to you guys about the fact that we are living proof that it can be done. And if you're at the bottom, that means that you can't go nowhere else but to the top, because there's nowhere else for you to go. That's what I say with stocks. If I see a good stock and I look and that stock chart is all the way down to the bottom where it started at, I know it got no choice but to go up from there if it's a decent name. So if you got the right type of character, believe me, getting up and coming up is in your future. You just got to take the steps to do it, man. I tell people all day, right? They lay in a bed and they look at their phone and they contemplate getting up. But there's somebody in the world that just woke up and for the first time realized that accident they got in last night, they wasn't going to be able to move from their neck down. They got to call somebody to help them move. So what if you went through that for one day and then you woke up the next day and found you could move your finger and your foot? You're going to hop your ass up out of that bed. And that's right. What you need to be doing now. Because to hop out that bed and let your feet hit that ground is telling God that you're grateful for him giving you another blank page to paint your masterpiece for the day. And that's what I'm going to leave y'all with.
Man. Wow. Like, you know, and listen, guys, you know, I thought we was going to do, they got so much going on. You know, we're going to have to do another interview. I'm not even going to lie.
Definitely.
Like, no, we're going to have to do another interview, man, because this is just a small piece of who Santino the Only Option is. And he wanted, you know, my thing was, you know, let's talk about, you know, the collective and the financial literacy and Wise Money Academy. He said, no, that's not my message. That's not the message that I want to give to the world. So we had a phone conversation and he broke down exactly what it was that he wanted to share with the people, because he felt it was more important to start there. You know what I mean? To meet people where they're at, to help them, you know, transform their mindset in terms of the light of their situation and what it is that they're going through, and just letting them know that there was more that is possible, more that was available. So, you know, this was a message of hope that was given today, man. This was a message of, you know, transformation and, you know, restoration. And, you know, we was actually able to see where a miracle took place in somebody's life today because they had the power to believe. You know, they believed in God, and then they believed in themselves. And they took upon the challenge and they fought for what was important to them. They took that same energy that told them to go ahead and put a hit out on the dudes that was going to testify on them. You know what I mean? And they channeled it towards, you know, fighting for themselves and fighting for their freedom, as opposed to allowing that hatred to cause them to walk and operate with a confused mind. Listen, that was a nugget. That was a gem there. And a lot of us are walking around carrying these same burdens, carrying this same anger and hatred towards our situation. And, you know, we're not taking accountability for our situation. A lot of us out there are still playing the blame game. Well, if this didn't happen and this one didn't do this and this one didn't do that. You know, I don't think Santino would have been here today if he had kept that mindset. But because he was willing to accept responsibility for his own actions and to hold himself accountable for the things that he done, but also hold himself accountable for what he knew was possible for his life, and developing the mindset to go after it. And, you know, he said, man, there was mentors, there was people that were there, even in that situation that have helped him become the man that he is today. And, you know, he has a thing, you know, we call it a ministry. You can call it a non-for-profit, but this thing called Living Proof. And that's what the world needs to see. That's what the people need to see. Like, you know, so often on these media outlets, we see people pushing a different narrative. You know what I'm saying? But we're taking control of the airwaves now. We're going to get our story out. We're going to get our message out. And we're going to come and we're going to reach our people, the ones that think that they've been forgotten about, that nobody cares about them, that there's no hope for their situation. You know, we're taking the bull by the horns, and, you know, we're stepping up to the plate to show you, man, that anything is possible to those that believe and those that are willing to put in the work. And it's there, and here to say, like, yo, you know, there's programs that are being created. I have Step Into Your Greatness. You know, Santino has the Wise Money Academy. These are programs where we're offering mentorship to be able to help people, overcome these situations and circumstances.
Yes.
Sometimes you need a helping hand. Maybe you don't have, the same mindset or, attitude that Santino and I had to use in order to transition and get our lives to a different place. But we're saying, yo, if you're willing to reach up, we're willing to reach back.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Right.
if you can reach your hand up to where I am, that lets me know that, okay, I can pull you up a couple of levels. That's something another one of my mentors told me, Rob. He said, George, I've gotten to a place now to where I know that if I reach back, if a person can reach up and grab my hand, I can pull them up to where I am.
That's
But
right.
if you can't reach up to where I am, it's going to cost me too much to have to come all the way back down to get you and bring you up. So
Yeah.
what we need you to do is take this information, take what you've learned here today. He gave you a lot of actionable steps that you can take and that you can apply to your life. You can catch this on the replay. It's going to be on YouTube. Go back, listen to what this man said. Take notes, write it down, develop a game plan. If you need help, we're here. Reach out to us. Like,
That's right.
yo, we're mentors that you can reach. You know what I'm saying? It's not like we're some dudes that we on here and we're untouchable and we're unreachable. No, we are really here for the people. We're here for the people,
That's right.
And Santino got this thing, Living Proof, that's getting ready to come out, man. And he's gonna, he's gonna snatch up some real ones, man. And we're gonna get out there and we're gonna impact our communities, man. We're gonna go into the places where nobody else wants to go. And
That's
we're gonna
right.
be that ray of sunshine. We're gonna be that message of hope. We're gonna be those dudes that can spark dreams, in people who thought that they have no hope or that, nothing was possible for their life, man. So, this is our heart, man. A lot of people think that people get on here and they do things for clout and different reasons, man. Nah, this is our heart. Like, this is our life's mission. Money doesn't make a difference. It doesn't matter. Like he was saying, man, why you want to have a Benz when your people are suffering?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like me, I made it a choice. I said, I'm like Moses, man. I'd rather suffer, the afflictions with my people than to live in Egypt and sit at Pharaoh's table.
That's
You know
right.
what I'm saying?
That's right.
Like, I'm good in the hood. Like I'm good where, where the need is the most. And that's the
right.
same mindset that Santino has, and before we wrap up, I really want to, give a shout out, man, and just give you an opportunity to talk about the collective.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
So the
Because
collective.
because the collective has been they've had such a huge impact on my life. You know what I mean? And the things that I'm doing and what I got going on. And I just want him to share this with the people so that way they can be introduced to this group, of individuals of strong, when I say they strong brothers, man. You know what I'm saying? And the impact that they're looking to have in our community. Go ahead, Santino.
Yeah, so the collective is me and 3 other brothers, Lawrence Eggleston, aka the Panther. He has a community called Black Wall Street Originals where he teaches stocks, options, and economics. He's 23 years old, young millionaire from Atlanta. He's a phenomenon, a great young man. We have my brother and my mentor, Jamil, futures trader. He trades futures, which is a form of an asset that you can trade, sort of like a stock or options or bonds or crypto. Futures is another market that you can trade. That's what Jamil specializes in, reading charts, work for JP Morgan. Then you got Ivan Lee Jackson. Ivan Lee Jackson specializes in web development, online marketing, branding, social media branding, and things of that nature. So we all met on through Clubhouse, just coming on there, each individual giving game in our, respective professions, and we met that way. So we started talking on the back, and I told you how me and Jamil met. Me and Lawrence met the same way. We would run little rooms on Clubhouse and do IG lives together. And we just all realized that we all knew what we were actually doing in the field that we were in. In the world of social media, where there's a million people claiming to trade, but we know they really don't trade. They're better salesmen than they are traders. And some of the people that claim to be salesmen, are just better at teaching it than they are actually doing it. All of us actually do what we say we do. I'm a trader for a living, for profession. So is Jamil. So is Lawrence. Ivan really makes money off web development. This is what he does. SEO, optimization, online optimization. This is what he does. So, but the thing that we had in common is our passion for bringing this information to people. They understood my story. We all got unique stories, from Jamil almost turning pro in football, working for JP Morgan, you know, Ivan having a background similar to mine, you know, having a lot of education in the e-commerce world, and you know, finding his passion through Clubhouse, making money and money not being enough for him, and him saying, you know, I need a purpose. What's my purpose? And he found that his purpose was to help people discover their purpose. Help people discover that they can teach online, help people discover that they can start that business. And he helped us realize that our purpose aligned. It was actually him that came up with the idea for us to formulate this thing and bring it together and create a system where people can learn from me, learn from Lawrence, learn from Jamil, and learn from Ivan. And now you just develop a set of skills that's not only transferable, but you never have to recertify them again. Once you learn this, unless you catch Alzheimer's, this is yours to keep.
Unless you catch Alzheimer's, huh?
So that's what we did. You know, we brought collective together.
Let me say this real quick. Listen, man, shout out to that boy Ivan, right? I always tell people, man, yo, I give away the plugs. You know what I'm saying? I give away the connect. When you see step into your greatness and you see a lot of the things that I'm doing, like, yo, I was just doing regular reels. I was, you know what I'm saying, just winging it. Like, yo, I got what Ivan, man. Once I did the interview with Jamil, Jamil said, yo, I'm going to put you on to my people. Yo, I got what Ivan. Man, Ivan has literally transformed my whole thinking. You know what I mean? Not even just transform my business or, you know, my platform or whatever, but the way that I think and the way that I approach this thing. Because now everything with me is moving towards automation. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you know, and you know, so the value of mentorship, man, like I said, you know, Dr. Delatoro, he gave me the structure, gave me direction. Ivan's giving me the blueprint. So anything that you guys see me doing, yo, I'm telling you where it's come from. And you can go directly to him. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're gonna have to, you know, you're gonna have to pay what he's worth. You know what I'm saying? Because yo, the man, you know, he's
gonna make it happen for you. He's
good at what he does. But you just see, you know, what it is to be connected to greatness, man. And I'm so grateful for these brothers, you know. But I'll let you go back. But I just wanted to give Ivan, you know, his just due, man, and thank him for the impact that he's had in my life and in my business, you know. So I'll let you go back, man.
And that's what it's about, man. So we created this program where, you know, when people come in, they can learn an array of different things, all from professionals, all from people who really using the skill set that they're professing about, right? And it's just a beautiful community, man, you know, to be a part of. People, you know, that are in different areas and different career backgrounds, and you can meet these people, and we meet up and we have these events and you see people linking up and things like that. It's just a beautiful community, man. Beautiful thing to be a part of. It's actually a movement, a revolution. It's not even a program. You know, it's a commitment to wealth. And when we say that, we're talking from top down, right? Money's just a byproduct. The true wealth is in the information that you feed into your brain, right? So that's why I say I can never go broke, because of what I know. And money, again, is just a byproduct. Money is attracted to the person with the most information. The person with the least information is the one chasing money. So you're the nerd, money's the prom queen. The person with the information is the star quarterback. He's going home with the prom queen. You see what I'm saying? A lot of us get caught up in chasing money instead of chasing the information around money, the information that money's attracted to. And once you get that, money's just a byproduct. It's just a thing. It's an object. It means nothing anymore. You know? Because, you know, think about it, right? We could travel the world with a credit card. We don't even need money no more. So that's what it's about, man. The value that the collective has from us coming together, not just our expertise and our knowledge and education, but also our passion, because we've all helped a lot of people. You know, I just had 3 calls today, people that come from where I come from, got them set right up. You know, the universe brought them into my life, found out all of a sudden they trade, they got background like me. Let's go, I'm gonna get you set up. That's how we do that, because they reached up, like you said. I can't reach down too far. But if you reaching up, that's showing me that you're making a conscious effort to be something better than who you've been, you know yourself to be. Because every day we should get up and try to get more out of ourselves. Because the end result is to have lived a life where you got the most out of yourself, where you reached your full potential. Right? And that's why when we run around those streets, we on such low vibrations. Because there's nothing high power, there's nothing high explosive about that. There's no brain power that really got to go into that. You see what I'm saying? So with that being said, Jay, man, it's always great, man, to be in your presence.
Yeah, man. Listen,
man.
Yo.
Definitely, man.
Yo, everything that could try to hinder this message from going forth tonight tried to hinder it, right? But yo, we didn't stop. We just kept going. We worked through the adversities. We worked through the technical difficulties to make sure that this message got out. And I'm trusting and believing that there's somebody that's on the other end of this transmission, whether it be now or on the replay. When I told you in the intro, I said somebody's life is going to be changed tonight. And that's what the mission is about. It's about impacting and changing lives for the good, for the better, to awaken people to their potential and the unlimited possibilities that await you if you could only get your mind right. Like you said, man, wealth is a state of mind. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of us are walking around with these poverty mindsets. And I'm not saying, you know, being broke, you know what I mean? Because we always look at money. Like you said, money's just a tool. It's the low-hanging fruit. Like we got to elevate our consciousness. We have to elevate our level of thinking. We have to raise the standard inside of our communities and amongst our people to begin to allow them to see beyond their current circumstances, to see ultimately what is possible for your life. Why? Because now you are seeing living proof. Here is the evidence, right? Here is the evidence. When he was fighting his case, the only thing that the court would hear is evidence to support his motion. So listen, man, this is the evidence that you need to support the motions that you're trying to make, the moves you're trying to make. Now you know it's possible and you know that you can do it. And there's people that are out here that are willing to help you, man. So, you know, we've been on for 2 hours. I want to thank Santino for his time. But I'm going to let you guys know there's got to be a part 2 to this.
Definitely.
Santino, we got to do a part 2.
Let's do it, man.
You know what I'm saying? Because I don't
There's
even
so many
like
different pockets of stories in there, man.
That's what I was saying.
I didn't even take them on a journey how I ran into the stock market and all of that.
That's
stuff.
what I'm saying. Like you didn't
a lot
even
of different areas.
surface. But you know what? You did what was needed today. And see, a lot of times, right? It says many are the plans in a man's heart, but it's the Lord that directs his steps. Like we had our own plan in the direction that we wanted this to go, but ultimately, man, the Almighty took it in a different direction because he knew that there was somebody that was out there that needed to hear this message.
Yes,
you know, and that's what the Bible says,
I hope
man.
they got it too.
Yeah, we overcome by the word of our testimony, man. Like you say, it's not about being vulnerable or transparent. It's about being real and telling the truth. Yes, you know what I'm saying? Too many people out there fronting or stunting, man. Like, yo, my man gave you the real truth, man. He told you what it is.
Hey, listen, it's embarrassing to tell you the first time I ever been on a plane was in a federal plane.
Like, come on, man.
Yeah, it looked like rope. It looked like they had rope tying the wings together too.
Yo, that's like one of my cousins. He said, yo, man, the first time I ever been out of New York State was when I was on the run.
Yeah, exactly. That's crazy, right? Isn't that crazy? Hey, Jay, it was great, man. Thanks for having me, man. Thanks to all y'all for tuning in. 52 Tuesdays, this is where it's at. Make sure y'all tune in to my man, Jay Vega. Follow him online. If you're on my platform, on my IG, make sure y'all tap in with Jay Vega. Very talented, very talented man, very knowledgeable. Been through a lot, got through it all, put it behind him, and built something new, man. And that's what it's all about, man. Yep. Listen, I'm gonna leave y'all by saying this: leave yesterday and kill today, every single time. Every single time. With that being said, thank you once again, my brother. I love you.
No doubt.
Next time we're gonna do an in-studio joint.
Yeah, let's do it, man, because we here, man. I'm working on this stuff. I got the equipment. I got somebody coming in this week, so we just gonna keep getting better, man. Yeah, like I told Jamil, man, let's just have fun doing this. We'll figure it out along the way.
I love it. Let's do it, bro.
Yeah, let's do it, man. So listen, man, everybody, thank you for tuning in. I love you. God bless you. You have a good night, man, and just lock in, man. Stay tuned. And if you're on here, I seen a lot of real ones in the comments. Yo, connect with me. Tell me your story. You know what I'm saying? If it fits the vision, let's connect. Let's build, man. Let's build this community. Let's build these resources, and let's get these stories out, man. So that way we can reach these young ones, man, and even the old heads that are out here that are still trapped. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's get out there. Let's reach our people. Let's impact the world, man. Let's take that what the enemy meant for evil and turn it around and use it for good in somebody else's life. And with that, thank you. God bless you. And I love you. Have a good night. We signing off.
Peace, Jay.
My brother.